Attachment is the most refined form of weakness. It disguises itself as virtue, loyalty, love, compassion, but in reality, it is a chain placed around the neck of the powerful by those closest to them. When a man becomes emotionally entangled, especially with loved ones, he ceases to act with clarity. He begins to weigh actions not by consequence, but by how others will feel. That is the beginning of his fall. A ruler who fears disappointing a friend is already ruled. A man who hesitates to make the necessary cut because of affection is no longer the wielder of the blade. He is its victim. Loved ones do not always mean harm, but that is irrelevant. Intent is not power, impact is. Whether knowingly or not, people will use your affection to manipulate you. A brother may plead for a favor. A wife may cry to dissuade you from a hard decision. A friend may demand loyalty at the cost of your judgment. What begins as warmth becomes poison in the well. Your ability to discern right action fades the moment you allow emotion to sit on the throne of reason. Those closest to you know your weaknesses better than your enemies ever could. They know which words pierce your armor, which looks will make you hesitate, and which memories will chain you to the past. This makes them dangerous, not in their intent, but in their proximity. Familiarity breeds influence, and influence unchecked becomes control. The man who allows emotional bonds to cloud his judgment is no longer free. He becomes a servant to sentiment. To wield power effectively, a man must understand that emotion is a tool, not a guide. You may feel affection, but you must never let it dictate your will. Sentimentality is for those who follow. Leaders must cut through illusion. If you hesitate to make harsh decisions because you fear losing love, you have already lost something greater, your autonomy. Those who hold your heart can steer your mind. That is the true danger. Even their silence can be a form of pressure, their disappointment a weapon sharper than a sword. In moments of great decision, the cold-blooded man is the only one who sees clearly. He is not heartless. He simply refuses to be enslaved by affection. His calculations are unclouded, his moves precise. He does not seek to harm those he loves, but he will not let love disarm him. The powerful man does not confuse kindness with strategy. He understands that to lead, to survive, and to win, he must be prepared to sacrifice comfort, including the comfort of emotional warmth. He must be willing to look into the eyes of those he cherishes and act as though he does not flinch. Not because he feels nothing, but because he has mastered what he feels. The world does not pause for love, and neither must he. Those who fail to understand this will always be at the mercy of those who do. Power is not found in comfort. It is carved through discomfort, forged in the cold silence of sacrifice. The man who clings to the warmth of affection and familiarity cannot rise beyond mediocrity. Advancement requires the death of softness. Those who seek greatness must make decisions that tear them away from the sentimental, from the known, from the comfortable lies that bind ordinary men. It is easy to remain loved, to be agreeable, to avoid the sting of cold choices. But that ease is the trap. It lulls the ambitious man into stagnation. Comfort seduces like a lover and kills like a poison. To grow, to ascend, one must become the executioner of ease. He must shed the illusions that loyalty is always mutual, that love guarantees support, that the path upward is paved with harmony. Often, it is the people closest to you who will resist your rise, not because they hate you, but because your growth threatens their sense of balance. They fear what you will become, and they fear what that says about what they are not. They will beg you to slow down, to consider their feelings, to compromise your vision. It is in these moments that a cold mind is necessary. You cannot build an empire with hands tied by guilt. Every great figure who has ever seized power has done so by sacrificing comfort, family, friends, lovers. These are all liabilities when they begin to expect that your power should serve them rather than your purpose. The man who elevates himself must be prepared to disappoint. He must be willing to be misunderstood, to be called ruthless, arrogant, even cruel. These are the prices paid by those who understand that victory demands clarity, not comfort. A leader cannot build an army if every command is softened by emotion. He cannot conquer new ground if every step forward is haunted by the need for approval. Comfort makes a man predictable. Predictability is weakness. When others know that you will not make a hard decision because it might upset someone, they begin to shape your choices. They learn how to pull your strings. This is not a position of power. It is the illusion of it. True command requires that others fear your resolve more than they count on your affection. They must know you are capable of choosing the mission over the memory, the goal over the guilt, the path forward over the hand reaching backward. Only then will your authority be absolute. Even the noblest ambitions will rot if wrapped in sentiment. It is not enough to desire greatness. You must become what greatness demands. That means silencing the inner voice that asks, "What will they think of me?" and replacing it with one question alone: "What must be done?" This shift is the beginning of dominance. It is the severing of all that dilutes the will. Only the cold-blooded man has the courage to walk away from warmth in pursuit of something higher. He understands that power is not granted by affection. It is taken by force, sharpened by solitude, and upheld by the sacrifice of comfort. Love is a delicate currency, easily spent, quickly lost, and rarely repaid in equal measure. It fluctuates with mood, circumstance, and convenience. One day you are cherished, the next you are resented, forgotten, or replaced. Love is bound to expectation, and expectation is a dangerous thing for the man who seeks power. The moment you depend on affection to maintain your position, you have surrendered your control. Fear, on the other hand, is stable. It is not fickle like love. It does not demand affection in return. It commands respect, obedience, and caution. Where love invites familiarity, fear enforces distance, and distance protects. The man who builds his foundation on love walks on sand. He is constantly required to prove himself, to please, to adjust to the ever-changing desires of those around him. He becomes a performer for their comfort, not a leader of his own vision. His rule is conditional on his ability to stay likable, to remain soft, to never offend. But no one can rule effectively under the burden of constant approval. Sooner or later, love will falter. Disappointment will arise. The people who once adored you will become the ones who question you, turn on you, and seek to reduce you back to their level. Love cannot withstand ambition. It demands that you stay within reach. Fear, however, allows distance. It permits assent. A man who is feared is not burdened by the need to be understood. He does not have to explain himself to keep loyalty. He does not need to smile to maintain order. His authority is respected because others know that disobedience carries consequences. They may not like him, but they do not cross him. That certainty, that line which cannot be stepped over, this is the foundation of true control. Those who are feared are rarely betrayed, because betrayal is calculated risk, and fear makes that risk unbearable. Love makes people believe they are your equal. It emboldens them to question your decisions, to speak out, to demand softness. Fear reminds them that they are not. That gap, that unbridgeable distance, is what keeps power intact. If those below you feel too close, they begin to mistake your kindness for weakness. They begin to test the boundaries. And when they discover you will not push back, because you fear losing their love, you have already lost control. Fear never allows such confusion. It is a language even the most foolish understand. The cold-blooded man knows that love is temporary and fear is permanent. He does not waste time trying to be adored. He knows that admiration fades, that gratitude is short-lived, and that mercy is forgotten. He chooses the path that ensures compliance, not applause. He embraces the solitude that comes from being respected rather than liked. His power does not rest on the opinions of others, but on their recognition of his resolve. In a world ruled by emotion, he is unmoved. Where others seek to be loved, he ensures he is never taken lightly. Loyalty is one of the most overestimated virtues in human relationships. It is praised, idolized, spoken of as eternal, but in reality, it is conditional. Most so-called loyalty is simply convenience dressed in noble language. People remain loyal when it benefits them, when their needs are met, when their ego is untouched, and when your decisions do not challenge their comfort. But strip away the rewards, act in your own interest rather than theirs, and the mask quickly falls. You will see that what you believed was loyalty was nothing more than proximity plus self-interest. True loyalty, the rare kind, does not crumble under coldness. It is revealed by it. The man who wishes to uncover who is truly by his side must remove the softness from his leadership. He must become indifferent, not cruel, but distant, resolved, and unwavering. He must deny those close to him the comfort they expect, the constant validation they crave. He must be willing to stand in silence when they beg for reassurance. In that silence, he will see who walks away and who remains. Those who only stayed for warmth were never loyal. They were only comfortable. Coldness removes the veil. It burns away the illusion of connection and exposes the transactional nature of most bonds. When you begin to make decisions that do not serve their interests, you will hear the words, "You've changed." But you have not changed. You have evolved. What has changed is their access to your compliance. The man who is feared to be indifferent commands a deeper kind of loyalty, because those who remain with him do not stay for benefit. They stay for belief. They understand that his resolve is not to be questioned, and his actions will not bend to emotional pressure. This type of man earns a different kind of allegiance. It is not loud. It does not beg for recognition, but it is real and it endures. Affection muddies loyalty. When people love you, they begin to expect special treatment. They confuse affection with immunity. They think love gives them leverage, that being close to you entitles them to influence your direction. If you allow this, you are no longer leading. You are negotiating your own power with those who should follow. That is not loyalty, that is quiet insurrection, and it always begins with you surrendering the ability to be indifferent. You must be willing to face their disappointment without flinching, to stand firm while they accuse you of being distant, ruthless, or uncaring. Only then will you know what your relationships are truly made of. The cold-blooded man does not apologize for choosing principle over comfort. He understands that real loyalty can only be measured when warmth is withdrawn. If someone vanishes when you no longer serve them emotionally, they were never with you to begin with. They were with the version of you that catered to their needs. Coldness strips you down to your essence, and it strips others down to theirs. There is no greater test of loyalty than to stop giving, to stop explaining, and to observe who still stands with you when there is nothing left to gain. The man who becomes cold-blooded becomes untouchable. He is no longer swayed by sentiment, nor held hostage by the ever-changing moods of those around him. He does not chase approval, nor does he fear isolation. While others are pulled by emotional tide, seeking validation, reacting to betrayal, collapsing under heartbreak, he remains unmoved. He does not crumble when loved ones withdraw affection. He does not flinch when criticized or misunderstood. His strength is internal, forged in the fire of detachment, sharpened by discipline, and sustained by his refusal to be governed by feeling. This is not a denial of emotion. It is a mastery of it. The world is built to exploit the emotional. Every weakness is studied, every fear is recorded, and every desire is weaponized. The moment others sense what you cannot resist, they will use it against you. Praise becomes a leash, beauty a trap, guilt a dagger. But none of these tactics work on the man who no longer seeks comfort or reassurance. When he cannot be seduced by compliments, manipulated by flattery, or broken by rejection, he becomes dangerous. He becomes unpredictable, impenetrable, and above all, uncontrollable. To reach such a state, one must kill the need to be understood. That is the first chain broken. Most men waste their energy explaining themselves, defending their decisions, trying to be seen as righteous. This exposes them. It shows their hunger for acceptance. It reveals that their mind still belongs to the judgment of others. The cold-blooded man, however, knows that silence is strength. He does not justify. He does not plead. He acts, and he endures the noise without reaction. In doing so, he robs others of their power over him. He does not fall apart in the face of betrayal. Betrayal is inevitable. It is not a tragedy. It is a pattern. The wise expect it. The cold-blooded man does not give second chances, nor does he seek revenge. He removes, replaces, and proceeds. There is no emotional ceremony, no theatrical display of pain. He learns, adjusts, and becomes even more precise. His memory is sharp, not nostalgic. His heart is guarded, not numb. He sees people as they are, not as he wishes them to be. This clarity gives him dominance in a world clouded by delusion. Even in love, he remains disciplined. He may feel, but he does not fall. He may care, but he does not kneel. He does not hand over the keys to his soul in exchange for warmth. If love becomes a threat to his sovereignty, he will walk away without looking back. This is what makes him untouchable. Others are ruled by who they love, who they fear losing, who they want to impress. But he bows to no one. His will is above attachment, his mission above emotion, his code above companionship. He has burned the bridges that lead back to softness, and in doing so, has built a fortress no one can enter unless he allows it. In a world ruled by hidden motives and shifting loyalties, the man who chooses to remain warm, agreeable, and emotionally available becomes a tool in someone else's game. He is shaped by the hands of others, bent by their expectations, and broken by their betrayal. But the man who becomes cold-blooded, calculated, detached, unshakable, rises above the noise. He sees through illusion, acts with precision, and commands respect without begging for it. This is not cruelty. This is survival. To lead, to win, to endure, you must be willing to cut ties with your comfort, silence your need for approval, and walk alone if necessary. Only then will you become what the world truly fears, a man who cannot be controlled.